What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Token Otaku, coming at you again with another manga slash manhwa review. If you guys find the video entertaining, please leave your boy a like and a subscribe, and even possibly comment down below. Anything you do helps. And before we get into the chapter review, for one, I missed last week's chapter of the Return of the Disaster Class Hero, so this one is going to be a bit of a double feature, doing chapter 112 and 113 together. Partially because obviously, like I said, I missed last week's chapter, and partially because this being the first time I'm uploading 2 videos within a week, I thought, why not do something special and do 2 chapters? I probably wouldn't look forward to this happening when I do 3 videos within a week, whenever that comes about, because I doubt I'll let anything fall behind anymore. I'm gonna try to stick by that too. Hold me to it, people. And without further ado, let's get into it, people. Chapter 112 of The Return of the Disaster Class Hero begins with a shot of what remains of the Devil's Tower before it is completely destroyed by another attack by Lee Gun. The chapter then cuts to inside the tower, where Lee Gun asks the generals of the Time Monarch if they would like to continue the fight, seeing that there's nothing more to see from either of them. The generals can't believe the difference in their power is that great, and Take-Su is also astounded by how powerful Lee Gun has become after being a holy god, considering his power immeasurable. Lee then calls the generals weak and asks them if there's someone in their ranks as strong as Baron Helmet, and the generals respond that if they had had the power of the monarch, they wouldn't have lost the way Baron Helmet had. Lee then figures that the relationship between the monarchs and the generals is similar to that of the holy gods and their saints. As Sung Jae is cheering on Lee Gun asks the generals if they think they want to fight Sung Jae instead. The chapter then cuts to 4 hours later at Lee Jion's second tower within his holy domain, before we cut inside to where Kali and Yuha have returned from their respective missions. As they enter, Lee asks them how their missions went, and Yuha is quick to announce her accomplishment, while Kali and the arm are so visibly distraught that they don't even need to announce their failure. Lee tells them that he'll just give the arm to Kevin when he sees him again, before he asks how Steven liked his new prosthetic arm. Yuha tells him that Steven was extremely happy with it, and that he'd probably be asking for another one if he wasn't currently cleaning up the Leo sect, before she asks her dad why he's so distraught currently. Take-Su then jumps up and begins to tell everyone what Lee did. We then cut to 4 hours ago, which, very weird. Why not just tell what happened 4 hours ago as it happened and then jump to here, and then the characters could have just reacted? Like, why are we doing this weird jump? I mean, it's still in the same chapter, but unimportant. We're continuing with the review. The chapter then cuts back to 4 hours ago inside the Devil's Tower, when Lee is asking the generals if they'd like to fight Sung Jae instead of him, telling Sung Jae that this will replace his training. Sung Jae is unsure about his prospects of winning the fight, but Lee says he's already damaged them, so it'll be easy. The generals then take this as an insult before Lee tells them that Sung Jae is actually a candidate to be his right-hand man, although he's actually about fourth in line. Don't tell Sung Jae. Sung Jae, however, is amped up by this statement, and as his dad begins to try to protest and step up for his son, he stops him, telling his dad to stay out of it, and that this is a job for Lee Gun's right-hand man. Falling for the bait. We then cut back again to 4 hours in the future, once again pointing out why did we cut? Anyways, back to the chapter. To Yuha summarizing that her dad is just worried for Sung Jae while he's in the Devil's Tower. She then reassures her dad that Sung Jae is capable and determined, as well as everyone else agreeing that he needs to be ready for what is to come. Lee then tells Take-Su to stay behind in case anything happens with Sung Jae in the Devil's Tower. Take-Su then inquires about what Lee is going to do, and Lee says he's going to Virgo, knowing that Cancer is making a big move, vowing to put an end to the rotten crab. We then cut to the battlefield, where Jean-Louis has gathered multiple different sects together to attack Virgo's holy domain. His plan is seemingly succeeding until Artemis appears and begins fighting alongside the Virgo sect members, rallying the troops. As the opposition becomes intimidated by the presence of a holy god, and also wonder if the saint was always a woman, as Kevin screams out no from within his now changed body. Jean-Louis then decides it's time to step in as Artemis unleashes the attack attack Summer's shooting star, as Jean-Louis calls his holy god and blocks the attack, saying it's time for the rematch before Artemis says she will put an end to this. The Return of the Disaster Class Hero, Chapter 113, picks up right where the last chapter left off, as the battle between the two gods kicks off. As the battle rages, we cut to a news crew that is reporting on the battle on scene. Lee sees this report and begins to head out before Kali gives him something to take with him. We then cut back to the battlefield as both sects begin to charge each other, as Jean-Louis says he will win the battle of attrition against Virgo, attempting to exhaust their resources the same way Lee Gun did against Leo, claiming he has all the resources of the sects who had lost their saints. Artemis realizes the disadvantage she is at and decides to end the fight in one attack, using her sovereign skill, Sky of the Bitter Cold. As the frozen blades fall from the sky, they are absorbed by the darkness. As Jean-Louis says, the dark star of the abyss can be used to swallow up anything. As Jean-Louis begins to use his abilities to swallow up everything, Artemis is suddenly weakened by a skill that Cancer had used against them in the past. Cancer's sect members are also being absorbed by the ability as well, as Jean-Louis apologizes and asks them to hold on as he can't distinguish friend from foe with his ability. As he then tries to use the Carapace Grave to try and kill Artemis quickly so that he doesn't take out too many of his followers. As this is happening, Artemis and Kevin begin to argue about Artemis deactivating the Holy God's descent so that she doesn't die. There's also a bit of the fact that Kevin would like to not die as a woman. As the situation for Virgo looks most dire, Lee Gun falls from the sky and attacks Cancer, as he then looks over to Jean-Louis, who inquires why he's there, and he tells him that he's there to pay him back for crossing him in the Devil's Tower, demanding him to answer for what he did right before the chapter ends. And now that we're at the end of our double feature, I'm going to give a bit of my thoughts on the chapters and a prediction for what's coming for chapter 114. Starting with obviously the first chapter. First thing, what's up with the 4 hours forward before then jumping right back to what I'm pretty sure everyone could have guessed was gonna happen? And why do that instead of just letting it happen and then having the characters talk about it afterwards? Like, I feel like you didn't save any like page space doing that. I just don't know. Weird thing. It took me by surprise. But main thing I have to say about that chapter is Lee Gun is just the king of the finesse. Like, my guy is just gonna completely get over on everyone no matter what. Like, I don't think this man has lost once since he got stabbed in the back, like way back in the day. My man got stabbed in the back once and was like, never again. I'm always gonna get mine. In the words of Denzel Washington, my man's from round the way. He leaving with something. Other thoughts on that chapter? I love the fact that the illustrator consistently is changing the clothes of the characters. It's just that extra bit of effort. I understand in stories that are more medieval in aspect because that's par for that time, but when it's more modern day, it feels very weird when a character is just like constantly wearing the same outfit unless they're part of an organization like Marines in One Piece. They're all wearing the exact same outfit constantly because it's a uniform. But I get it. A little bit of a tangent there. Continuing on into the fight itself, I was very surprised that the other sex decided to side with John Lewis and Cancer. It just seemed weird that they would all just line up with him after that. Like, I would have imagined that like some of them would have went to, you know, other sex or even have joined Lee Gun. Also, continuing on from that thought, even if they did lose their saints, why wouldn't the god then just choose another saint from the believers and the people who are already in the sect? I might have to go and look it up, and if I do find that there is some type of thing that makes it to where they can't just pick another saint, I'll put it in here that I'm just wrong. But yeah, it does seem weird that they would just, one, not only just ally with them, but also give away everything that they have as well as allying with them. Like, where's the self-preservation? Because like once you're out of resources, what stops him from just absorbing you guys and doing exactly what he's doing to Virgo to you, and then he's the last guy on the table? That just feels like easy math right there. Like, 2 + 2 = fish out here. Come on, people. And my thoughts on chapter 113, I feel like just back up what I just was talking about before. Like, how do you trust this guy? Man immediately began using friendly fire attacks to try to win. I couldn't fight for somebody like that. Like, how are so many people on this guy's side? Not important, I guess, because, my guy's probably about to be gone soon. However, I'm also interested in if there are going to be more of these monarch skills that have been used against like other saints or people within the sects. Also interested to see like more of how the generals and the monarch relationship goes, because I'm wondering, like, was Baron Helmet technically like the saint equivalent on the sovereign side? So like, Lee Gun just completely like wiped out the Time Monarch's saint pretty much. Another thing that I did want to say, the action shots, top tier. Gotta sing the praises a little bit there. But now that we're starting to talk about art, I think we'll get into the ideas for what's coming in the future. Obviously, Jean-Louis is probably about to die. I think that's a very safe assumption. Beyond that, I'm wondering if Lee will be able to lift the curse from off of Kevin and, I guess, Artemis respectively. I wonder who the curse is actually on. I wonder if it's like on Kevin or it's attached to Artemis because she's inhabited him and the effect took over. Like, is that going to transfer now, and is that going to be a problem? Also, once again, definitely interested to see how strong Sungjae is about to become after his training arc. But, I said that in the last chapter, so obviously, who knows? We'll find out next week. Possibly. Who knows? This might get dragged out for like 5 chapters, which I ain't got no big issue with, a couple of action chapters, because once again, phenomenal. And with that, as we're once again getting back into the art, it's been your boy, the Token Otaku. Please leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts on the chapter. And if you made it this far, please also leave your boy a like and a subscribe. And with that, I'm out. Peace.
You haven't noticed, I'm staying focused. They say in the way I wrote it, this shit is potent. Niggas thinking that I'm joking, these niggas loafing. I been ballin' like the rose, and then I just goes in.